nothing wrong with talking about sugar.
Sugar.
Bloody hell.
$1.99. Was it $1.99?
It was
That's
$1.99.
a big bag for $1.99.
Right.
I don't know how good it
I
is,
don't
but
know how good it is because it's not BC sugar.
Oh,
Well, it is, but it's not.
gotcha.
well, it's not.
Baking sugar, maybe?
Yeah, it might be different. We don't go through a lot of sugar, so like that's like a year's
Like
worth.
10 years worth of sugar.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, but her dad goes through a lot because when he drinks his tea and a spoon stands up in it and
gotcha.
stuff like.
Yeah.
I know this
It's
isn't
funny,
music, but
Coffee, I have to drink with like cream and sugar. Tea, I can drink straight. It's weird.
Depends on the tea.
Crazy. Oh, hey, welcome.
Talking about tea.
Oh yes, of course.
Coffee.
Yes. Yeah, you remember Vicky,
Hey.
Kim,
Hello.
Clint,
hello.
and myself, Lyle. So, a few weeks back, we were just talking away, and Bryan Adams' name happened to pop up. I don't remember the rest of the conversation here, because I had something else in my head going once his name popped up. So, Adams. Do you think, out of all the Canadian artists, he had probably the greatest impact on the music scene? I was thinking about that.
One of the biggest, for sure, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know we've had lots of artists come out of Canada, but
But he's synonymous.
yes.
It's, I think, a good word for it, right? You would
Yes.
think him, Anne-Marie.
Well, yeah, he holds the flag, pride. Like someone says Bryan Adams, you automatically know Canadian artist.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Bryan Adams.
No.
like
No.
being recognized worldwide.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's other artists, obviously, like Nickelback and stuff
Sure.
like that. And
That
Marie,
was
of
later
course, Celine
on.
Dion,
Yeah,
Celine
Celine
Dion,
Dion.
right?
Yeah.
But
But put Vancouver
Exactly.
on the map.
exactly,
Right?
where he
Yeah, he
recorded.
Yeah, you did.
Well, yeah, where he recorded,
Yeah.
right? Which turned into, I think, every artist.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter what genre recorded
Yeah.
from there.
They wanted to be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The studio, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I believe he recorded at Little Mountain Sound or Warehouse Studios is one of the two.
Yeah, I think he did start Little Mountain Sound. Obviously, Little Mountain Sound closed, and then obviously his own studio, the studio, became one of the number one recording venues out here,
Yes.
sought by many artists.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It did. It started a downfall. Not a downfall, but a downward. Like, everybody's got to come down this hill. Let's go here. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you've had Bon Jovi come here,
Mhm.
Motley Crue,
Yeah.
Metallica, Bublé, I believe, is recorded here
Yep.
He has, yeah.
as well. So it's like, yes, and they do have the same manager.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just
Or
gonna
they
say.
did, they
the-
did.
Yeah,
They
did.
yes.
Yeah.
the
That
Bruce
was a
Allen.
shock. Bruce
Yes.
Allen is no more for
Well,
Bryan
that's funny because I
Adams.
was just before this. I was looking up and various artists on Bruce Allen talent. Obviously, we knew Anne Murray and Bublé. As I'm looking through it, apparently Bob Rock is one of
Really? Bob Rock?
Bob Rock, and then Offspring is on there.
Offspring is.
So
Seriously, I
idea.
had no idea.
That one I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was totally unexpected
That is unexpected.
Bruce
Wow.
Allen.
Offspring. Yeah.
for Dexter,
Right?
Well, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he kind of made Bruce Allen who he is, didn't he?
Bryan Adams did. Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think he made Jim Valance the way he was as well.
Sure.
Just that fluke.
writing team.
Yeah, that fluke
Yeah.
introduction at Long and McQuaid in 1978 with a mutual friend. And at that time, Jim Valance had just left prison, and he was one of the main writers from there.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, we could say the rest is history for Jim Valance. And
another great
so-
Canadian band for those who don't know it.
Exactly. Exactly, yeah. So,
I didn't even know Long and McQuaid was around then. I'm just gonna say that's.
Right.
I thought that was a 90s thing.
either did I, but I think that was the only one that was in Vancouver at the time.
No, Tom Lee Music was that way back then.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that. You go downtown and you see that, and the drum sets and the guitar. It's like, oh, I want to go there.
Yeah, and I bought my guitar at Mainly Music, which is just down from there. Well, not anymore, but
Was.
that
It
was
was
on
there.
Granville as well. So
Yeah.
that was a big area for the music scene way
music
back
scene.
in the day. Yeah, so after that, he came out with a demo song, a disco song, if you want to call it that, Let Me Take You Dancing.
Mhm.
So apparently his vocals were sped up as well.
They're sped up
Yes.
after. Oh,
Yes. To get that dance tempo.
the dance tempo.
Well, we are.
Yeah.
Do what you had to do back
Yes.
then. Right?
That would have been the 70s then. I
Yeah,
would say.
78,
Yes.
yeah.
So obviously you're capitalizing on the music of the genre at that time.
Yeah.
the disco and all
Yeah.
that, right?
Disco,
So yeah, and then came his self-titled debut in 1980. which
Well,
I-
he was in that band Sweeney Todd.
That's right, before that.
Yeah,
That's right.
it was like what 20-piece ensemble band. It was huge. or
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't know much about it,
No,
but
no, no.
I heard that he was in that band as well. That he had
Yeah.
started. So
a
Like
little.
only 15 at the time.
Yeah, a little
Yes.
long-haired Bryan Adams, which is really hard to picture, but I've seen the
Now,
pictures.
yeah.
Did he not drop out of high school?
Yes,
Yes, he did. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't think he needed it.
No.
But
I think he's
not-
gone on to a
Not,
great
not
career
that I'm
since-
going to promote people dropping out of high school. Education is very important, people.
Disclaimer.
Right. Just so we're clear here.
But
It just,
that's not to
in this
say-
case, it did work out for Brian.
Exactly.
Depends
Ju-
on what you have
just a
to
bit.
Yeah.
It worked out. I think
Yeah.
I think
It was
he's
a
done
lot of
okay.
hard work. We're gonna say that. A lot of
Yeah.
hard work.
Yes.
Oh, he's passionate. He's a perfectionist.
He's
Like,
an artist because
Yeah.
the photography, right down to anything artsy, right? You look at
Yes.
anything he does, he's all in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and I hadn't really listened to his debut album. I guess you could say it's okay. There's one song on there, Remember, that is actually probably one of the better songs. But then his second album, You Want It, You Got It, came out in 81. That was very successful on the US album charts. And it has one song that I really like, actually, Fits You Good.
Oh, that's
and,
like such a good song.
and
Mhm.
Lonely Nights, but I didn't realize they were on that album.
Oh, I would have never known it was 1981. Would we have been listening to much yet, really, except the radio?
No,
babe?
because it
Like,
was Cuts Like a Knife for me.
Yeah.
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 So,
You know, that's a couple.
But
years
we all
later.
know Fits You Good, which is why you would think that it came out later.
You would, and they could have re-released it. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Like once he had the popularity from the next album, they could have gone back and went, you know what, this was a really good song. It didn't get the airplay it deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And put it back.
which
in
is
charts.
which is a common problem with most artists
Yeah.
is people don't recognize it at the time,
Mhm.
and they can always come back, and that's the benefit of having those debut albums is you can always pull back from it,
Mhm.
you know, because gonna go to one of your guys' other favorite bands, Runaway. When that came out, nobody knew Runaway.
No,
It-
I didn't even know Runaway and Bon Jovi was a huge thing, right? But then you go back to it and you go, what is this? And you just laugh and
Yeah.
laugh.
How did I not know this?
Right?
Yeah.
it's the thing with a lot of debut albums. You don't. Well, nowadays they're different, but back
They're
then,
very
I
different.
think we were just at that time when we were growing up that we weren't old enough to
Appreciate
or discover it,
Discover,
Yes, to
yes.
discover. Discover
right?
it,
Because we
yeah.
weren't into that, and
Yeah.
then when Cuts Like a Knife comes out, now we're
And it's the big thing, and you go back and go, oh yeah,
Oh, there's other
a couple
ones.
other ones that he released.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, because we were in elementary school.
Well,
right?
that's
It
also
was-
a generational thing, though,
It
too.
is.
Is obviously we went there and you have that one thing, and obviously you could buy the singles back then, but usually, oh, this is great. Got to get the artist. You get the artist. What's first thing you do? You put the album on. You listen it front to back,
Front
back
to
to
back.
back,
Yep.
like
For
just
Over and over.
over
Yeah.
and over again. You know every song. You know, like
Yeah.
kids nowadays or people nowadays, like you can buy
Buy the
literally
hits.
songs by singles or whatever. Like not even B-sides. Just buy the one single that you want,
Yeah.
and
And
then
you don't get to hear the rest of
and
it.
then you miss
No.
all the hidden gems. Like, you know, the artist put out 10 tracks or whatever's on the
Yeah.
album. Listen to the other 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might find a favorite in
You know,
there.
they
You'd be
they
surprised.
they may
Exactly.
not be, the radio plays one. They may not be popular, but they will speak to you,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the tracks I love. Those,
Yeah.
Those are the ones that get missed.
Yes,
They
but then
always
you can
do.
also kind of you take it on yourself as kind of like, this artist is speaking to me. This song is to me, and so you almost take it as it's mine. Screw off you popular people. This is my song.
I want to share this with you. I'm not going to tell anybody.
Right?
It's my
It's a
precious.
tradition.
Well, speaking of his second album, he was actually touring with Journey at the time. And one of the songs on that album, I guess, almost the title of it, the song was You Want It, You Got It, because Toyota, the car company was using that as
Their
their like
slogan?
slogan. So as they were touring with Journey, he would always play that song last, and what they would do kind of like on the side is every time they would hold up a Toyota sign as kind of like an
What?
ongoing joke as he would sing it. You
Sponsor
want it, you
us.
got
Oh my
it,
God,
because
I
the
love it.
tagline after that was Toyota afterwards, right?
Oh,
So
that's
it's
so
just kind
funny.
of like a funny little tidbit.
That is funny. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Marketing 101, children. This is how you.
That's how you
this is
get
how you make your
people,
money.
yeah.
Right?
And of course he was touring with Journey, which, yeah, you know you're destined for something if you're touring with.
Touring with
Journey,
Journey. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's always a funny thing, though. Is like, so artists come out, they tour with the big band of the time, and it's so funny how some of these artists so far surpass that band.
artist,
Yeah.
So like you look back and you're going, they opened for
They opened for
Journey.
Journey.
like Journey's opening for them now. What?
Yeah,
Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, things are a little
A
backwards.
little
What's
backwards
going on?
now. A little different.
Yeah. Well, because you have to keep changing with the time, and if you're an artist that doesn't change with the time, you're not going to keep going, and you are going to end up opening for the people that open for you.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, we've seen it a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Cuts like a knife.
Mm.
sorry, I just get to laugh at the thing. Oh yeah.
It's a great album.
It was, yes.
His breakout album.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, obviously everybody likes Cuts like a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Run
What
to you.
other? Wrong one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Which one?
Sorry,
Rent to You?
what?
Did you see Rent to You?
Isn't it on that one?
No, that's on Reckless.
Oh.
Reckless was
Oh,
definitely
so.
a bigger album. Again,
I'm
than
apparently
Cuts
not
Like a
looking at my notes.
Knife. That's okay.
What other? Like my other favorite song is "I'm Ready."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
That's
Well, I would say, I mean, I like Cuts Like a Knife. I couldn't tell you probably more on that album just because it is one of the
Older
we
ones?
were only like
We were just
grade
starting,
6, 7, right? So Reckless, I would be able to say there's definitely more that I like on Reckless. But yes, Cuts Like a Knife is good, and yeah, I do know that I'm Ready. That one's a good one too. But I don't know what other ones are on that album. If you hear titles, then you go, yes, I love that one.
Straight from the Heart.
Oh, okay, that is
Yeah, that was probably the first one I remember hearing.
Yeah,
that
I
was
remember
Bryan
that one.
Adams.
Yeah.
"Take Me Back."
See, that one I don't know.
See,
if I
yeah.
know.
Apparently, it was released as a single, but I
I don't really.
I didn't
that
recognize
doesn't
it when
hit
I heard
me.
it either.
Yeah.
That's one of my
Is
other
it- you like that
favorites.
one?
Yeah, the only one. That one's okay. "I'm Ready." "Who's it gonna be?" "Don't Leave Me Lonely."
Oh, that's a good
know.
one.
And "Let Him Know."
Oh, and the best was yet to come.
Oh, okay. Now
Yeah.
see, okay. As soon as you say one, then you're like, oh, that's on
Yeah.
that album. Like,
Yeah.
I don't pay attention, honestly, even now, to album names and what's on that album.
Same.
I just like, I love this song. Which album's on? Wait, is that on Clint? Well, it's
I'm
on
the
this
same
one.
way. Yeah.
Apparently, I'm not good at that one because I missed.
You missed that one.
I missed that on this one.
I mean,
And
you
the-
would think we have so many of Bryan Adams albums in the house, but you know.
I'm the weird one then. I always like to know which songs are on each album.
But there's so
Well,
many
you
albums.
you want to know which songs are in each album, which set list every artist plays, and like
At their concerts and
like we go to concerts, we come back and they played this one and they played this one and then they did this one.
Well, and you guys were the ones that always were like reading the liners notes, and you'd be like, "Oh, and they thank this person and this person." I'm just like, dude, I didn't like. Nope.
yeah.
I only read them if there's pictures, because you want to see the pictures of the band.
But
And go,
that, see
"Oh,
that
those
that,
are
that
really
was part of like music. That was our life. Music was our life at that time, and
Well-
getting the new album, getting the liner notes, you loved it. Like you get some of them, you open the liner notes and you're going,
good. Where are the liner notes?
what,
Yeah.
what is this? Like I
Well,
know the members of the band.
I think
Where's
we
the rest
read
of it?
them
Yeah.
Mostly to know how, like, what the actual words were.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I
Yeah.
read it for the
Yeah, but
lyrics.
see,
I
s-
usually
s-
didn't get
some-
right
some-
to the very end.
Some of my
All the
artists never
thank
actually
yous?
had
No.
the lyrics, but they had the thank you.
Yeah.
And then you would go through and you start reading through and you read like the people they thank and the production crew and stuff like this. And so that's where like Bruce Fairbairn and people like that all
And you have
kind of
no
come
idea
into
what
place.
it is.
names too.
You're like,
yeah.
oh, they
The
worked
people
on
behind
that.
the scenes.
Yeah.
Special thanks to this person, and this is how you figure out like, oh, this artist kind of had a tie into this song.
Yeah.
Or
And
something.
you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known unless you read it, right? It's like
Yeah.
a little bibliography.
Yeah.
And who reads those now? Do they even come with them? Do they even come with them now, though?
I've noticed they do again
starting
now.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
For a long time they
They
didn't.
didn't. No, it was just
Yeah.
like a piece of cardboard in the front with
Yeah.
a picture, and you're just like, missing something.
Yeah.
Well, like you take one like different artists altogether, but my Rob Zombie that I listen to is usually artwork that he does in the album
Well,
notes.
that's what I mean, like pictures. I always loved looking at all the
Like
pictures.
there's that, but then
Yeah.
there would be various notes, whether it's lyrics to the songs or just various things in there. And I don't know, it's just that little added extra gem to it.
Yeah.
Like predating us is going back to actual LPs. It used to be the big thing is okay, coming out with an LP, and this one is a special edition, so you're getting a blue record or a gold record.
Yeah.
And then you had the records, and they had the
But they
paper
did the
sleeve
paper sleeves,
around
yeah.
it.
And
And
only, did you notice some of the sleeves had writing on them and some
Yeah.
didn't? So you wouldn't even have
Yeah.
liner notes on an LP.
No,
There-
you didn't.
No,
You wouldn't know anything.
no.
No, unless it was,
It was on the back cover.
On the back
of
cover,
the,
yeah.
cover, and
Yeah, or
sometimes if
They had
came
an
some
insert.
little insert with it or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But
nope,
not
just
like
plastic
nothing,
cover
just-
the,
Yeah,
the record.
the
that was
dust
it.
cover. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Crazy how
Interesting.
things have changed over the years from
Mhm.
CDs to
And we're back to LPs.
And we're back to
Back to
LPs.
LPs.
Yeah.
and things because you went from your record, which was
Fairly large.
fairly large or whatever, and then you went to 8 tracks, which were big, and they took that down to cassettes, and then they
Yeah.
took it down to CDs, and now you download everything on an MP3.
Yeah.
I've got my music catalog literally sitting on my phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I have shelves which takes 100 plus CDs, and that's all
All on
on
your phone.
all
Yeah.
on my phone now.
Yeah. And you don't like your LPs are hidden, right? Like you don't even have them yet. People are wanting LPs now. So even like we're looking, okay, maybe we should get a record player again because there's
Right.
something distinctive about the sound.
The sound
of
on
an
an
LP.
The crackles and the pops. And
Yeah.
It's so raw.
Getting that needle just in the right spot.
Yeah. Not bouncing
manually reversing it, listening to the hidden messages.
There were no hidden messages.
Paul is dead.
Hey, back on topic.
it. Yes, back onto Bryan Adams.
it's that. Yeah, ebb and flow. Here we
Yes,
go.
we do. we veer off on conversations. It's gonna happen.
We love music.
Right?
Okay, so how many singles did you actually release off of that album? I know someone's got it here.
Off of which? Cuts Like a Knife?
Yeah.
Or 6?
6 singles?
6? Yep. 7 singles.
7.
Sorry. According
Seven?
to my notes.
7 singles off of that album. That's actually really impressive for what is that called? The sophomore album or
Yeah, I would say.
Is that what you call the third one? I don't know.
Third one. Yeah,
I would say. I would.
it is.
Yeah,
Like
right.
most artists don't.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, it was
usually-
certified silver at 2 million copies. Had 7 singles.
yeah. Well, it's like that to have
At the
7
time, that
singles.
was
Yeah, that's
yeah
a lot.
to have that many cuts off one album is actually rare and unheard of, at least
Was
especially at that
payola
time.
a thing then? Just curious.
Was what?
Well, okay. Well,
payola.
there's payola, or you're talking CanCon or whatever. Like he would have to do, like, obviously he's a Canadian artist, so he would get played more back then because what was it, 30% had to be Canadian content.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing yet.
Wasn't
Wasn't
it?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
No.
And Paola predated that, and that was actually corruption by the radio artist.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm wondering. Like, was he getting? But you never know what they did to get him on the air. More than others.
Well, if he was with Bruce Allen there, it's possible Bruce Allen did do
Oh,
that.
you know, grease
Yeah, I
a
think
few
Bruce Allen
palms.
had a big influence on how
I would
much
say.
he was played.
Right? Because that is a lot of singles.
It is. So.
Huh.
Yeah, and then. Yeah, the next album.
Reckless.
Okay,
Ooh.
this one I know.
Yeah, I think everybody
Yeah.
knows this one. I think this was his.
Well, yeah, because you're more aware at that point of who he is.
Well, because we have this one on cassette and CD,
And CD. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
and my brother has it on record.
Does he?
Yeah, he would have this one. He would also have Cuts Like a Knife on record.
Mm.
LP, sorry.
But obviously, this had one of his bigger songs.
Summer of '69. That one.
Yeah.
And this is the one
Yeah.
where you're telling us it almost didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently when they were writing the song, they had rewritten it and rewritten it and rewritten it like a bunch of times. And even when they put it on the album, they still didn't feel like it was a strong enough song to go on the album, and they really considered not releasing it at all.
Well, that would have been a mistake.
Right?
What would have his career been like if it wasn't on that album? If
Well,
it was not
yeah.
included.
Yeah, because, I mean, everybody knows the duet with Tina Turner. right? Like that was a huge thing too. But was it as big as him doing Summer of '69 and getting the airplay, or would that have affected him playing with Tina Turner? Like, I know it's the same album, but how did that connection happen without him already having his following from some of those hits, right?
I struggle to think that he would be as successful
Yeah.
as he is.
Considering
Without
the
it.
artist that he is, I think he still would have been successful, but obviously that song
Well,
definitely.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we'd still know who Bryan Adams is, but I don't think.
It would have hit as hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
It's a really tough
Right?
question.
And thankfully, we'll never have to know the answer.
No.
Well, like, because, well, my favorite song on the album is Run to You.
Yeah.
That's what Phil was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about that song, but I know it's probably one of the more popular songs that he has off that album.
Run to You?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I
that
would
w-
say
I think
so.
that would have been. I think that was the first single that they released, wasn't it? Or-
Yeah, and then Somebody, which I thought was another great song on that album. But
It's good. Yeah.
there's some that we know, but they weren't released as singles that we've heard in concerts and stuff.
Oh, I know.
You know.
I know one, anyway.
Okay, right.
So Diana
Oh, yes.
was originally supposed to be on that album,
Mm-hmm.
and they decided not to release it for fear of offending the newlyweds, Diana and Prince Charles.
Of course.
So it was later released as a B-side on Heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Okay,
He didn't have a crush on her at all.
No.
okay, I'm gonna have to admit something. I totally forgot about that song, and I did think it was on Reckless for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I think a lot of people did because it was supposed to be. And Heaven wasn't released that much longer afterwards with it on its B-side. So
And he plays that.
he played it
Yes.
until her car crash.
Yeah.
And then he hasn't played it since.
No. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I just learned something new. Well, there we go. I like when I learn things new.
Right?
Stuff that's new.
See,
So that makes me wonder, what were you thinking of as the songs that weren't on Reckless that was supposed to be?
I actually was listening to his latest release. Well, I guess it'd be the 30th anniversary release, and a song came on. It was "Teacher, Teacher." I've only heard it from 38 Special at the time,
Yeah.
and it came on, and I'm like, why is he singing a 38 Special song? So I had to, of course,
Check that.
deep dive.
I
Yep.
Yep.
went in, and him and Valance wrote it.
Yep.
And I guess 38 Special picked it up, and it was on a movie, and it was number one for them.
Well, he co-wrote a lot of songs with him that went to other people,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
right?
And there
Who
was
are those
Kiss.
people? Kiss. Yeah, that's Kiss. Where were
Joe
they
Cocker.
There's a whole bunch. It was War Machine for Kiss in 1982.
You were War Machine?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know. That.
Two with Valance and Gene Simmons, War Machine and Rock and Roll Hell. One with Paul Stanley and Michael Japp, the raunchy funky Down on Your Knees. Who else?
Well, because they played War Machine in the concert we just
I
went
know.
to.
Let
And-
Me Down Easy by Roger Daltrey. Well, not by Roger Daltrey, sorry, but sung by Roger Daltrey.
That's right.
Back Where You Started, Tina Turner. When the Night Comes, Joe Cocker. Let's see.
That's a good song.
Bonnie
I
Raitt.
feel like I heard that one, like heard Bryan Adams sing.
He
that
has
one.
sung it.
Okay.
Yeah, he totally has. That's what I hear when when you say the
Yeah.
the,
Well,
name
like
of the
Lyle
song.
was saying with Teacher,
Yeah.
Teacher, to hear Bryan Adams singing it, like, well, that's weird. And then you find out, that he actually wrote it. That's like Prince actually singing the one that Sinead O'Connor did.
Oh,
for him,
Nothing compares to
Yeah.
you.
and because that was his
His
song
song.
originally.
That's-
Oh, okay.
And Neil Diamond.
Yes. But the one that really shocked
Yeah.
me was Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt? Or Bonnie
He wrote-
Tyler?
Oh,
Bonnie
right.
Raitt.
Yeah.
They wrote Rocksteady. So when I saw
Oh.
Eric Clapton in concert, and Bonnie Raitt actually opened up,
Jealous.
and he came out to sing with Bonnie Raitt, not thinking anything of it. Like, why did he come out on stage with her? Doesn't make sense to me. I believe that probably was a song that they duetted together,
Mhm.
not realizing it until just recently that he wrote the song. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy how
the testament how prolific of a writer that he is.
Well, yeah, and I read something too that he was apparently turned into a hired gun,
Mhm.
basically on writing. That's
Well,
all
it
he
makes
did
sense if you're good at writing, and if he was pairing with Jim Balance, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so you have that crew going and writing songs. You could sell them to anybody. You could write for anybody, including yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'll have more songs written than he
That you
will
could
ever
ever
be
sing.
able
Ever
to.
be able to
Yeah.
record or whatever, yeah.
Well, when I was looking up for all this after I had that little thing in my head, he little story about summer of '69. So when he started off, he said he bought a guitar at a 5 and dime store.
Yes.
He did. He actually
Literally,
bought it in
yeah.
a 5 and dime store in Ottawa.
I'm not surprised. Because
Like,
that was a huge thing. Back then,
Mhm.
5 and dime stores.
it was, but that whole song, like, it wasn't obviously in 1969.
Yeah,
But-
No.
there is
What
a
was he,
reasoning
like
behind
4
them.
or 5 or something
Yeah.
at the time?
There's actually a reasoning behind the
Yes,
69.
I know.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm like, it could be for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
really-
Well, that's where a lot of his
Yeah.
songs go, is they grab at the heartstrings or the
Mhm.
memories and stuff like
and the
this.
songs are notorious for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of them.
And some are just great for driving down the highway with the windows down.
Yes.
But the
Yes.
thing is you take those
Great for
songs, and
trips.
obviously
Yeah.
Summer '69 is a great one. Is obviously not all of us were around in '69 or whatever, but it was just going back for that innocence when you were a teenager
Exactly.
and stuff like
Running
that.
wild in the streets. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like much like this
As-
conversation
as
with
we
people where you
did
grew up as
when we were young,
teenagers.
yeah.
Doing what you want.
Exactly, right?
Right? Totally.
So I have a little question for you guys.
All
You
right.
may have heard this before, I'm not sure. But speaking of Reckless and other artists at the time, what did Michael Jackson, Bruce Springsteen, and Bryan Adams all have in common?
I'm going to say they're singers.
I was gonna say
So
something
good.
about number one hits. I'm assuming at that time, but
Something like that, yeah. They were the first 3 artists to have 6 top 15 Billboard singles from the same album.
Wow.
So they were in the same category as Thriller and Born in the USA and sold 12 million copies. It was the first Canadian album to sell 1 million nationally. It topped the Billboard 200, obviously was an international hit. And then, like we were just saying, Summer of '69, right?
Yes.
Do you need to say more?
No, you don't. I'm surprised that it's in the same level as Thriller.
Yeah.
That is surprising because Thriller
That's how
was
well it
huge.
sold. Yeah.
see, that brings up another point, and that'll actually be a conversation for another artist that we will eventually carry. Is a lot of the music coming out, it's almost a lottery or whatever who wins. But at the time, one of our favorite artists was Def Leppard. They were kept out of number 1 position because of the Thriller album. It was a great album, and unfortunately,
Mhm.
It knocked them out.
it knocked
Yeah.
it, or it kept them from surpassing number 2.
But
Everybody
That-
has to take turns,
but that shows what Adams was like
Yeah.
and his writing style to
Yeah.
compete with
Michael
the
Jackson.
king of pop, if you want to call it
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And especially
Just
being,
a good old Canadian kid.
Yeah. And I hate to pit America against Canada, but that's another issue with it, right? Americans get so much more exposure than a Canadian artist would. So the fact that he was in the same level as that,
Amazing.
come on.
Sorry,
Listen to
Victoria,
Bryan
but
Adams.
we have better comedians too.
That's okay.
She's
It's all
Canadian.
good. I am Canadian.
She's good.
Okay.
We don't talk about her previous life.
It was such a short-lived life, though.
Canadian by choice.
That's right.
That's the way to look at it.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, I also read too that Heaven was on a film soundtrack as well.
Yes, it was, and I cannot. It's failing me. Which one was it?
A Night in Heaven.
Okay, that's not what I was.
I
don't know.
know.
I read
Really?
it. I'm
What movie
just gonna
is
say I don't know. That's,
It's on a movie. Nobody
movie.
knows what the movie was, but it was on a
it
movie.
reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot
Because now we
100.
need to know who's in that movie.
Right?
'cause that's a whole other
There
thing.
we go. See,
That's a whole
Smart
other
zone.
discussion.
I could be wrong. Yeah, been known to be wrong.
What was it? Night in Heaven, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, reached number 1 in June of 1985.
Let's see.
See, there,
Oh
there,
yeah,
Hot 100.
1983
There-
romantic.
there is a thing to talk about just on another podcast.
this?
Is
Leslie
music and
Ann
movies.
Warren, Christopher Atkins, Okay, so see, this is way when we were not watching movies, guys. Come on, like 1983. This was probably a parent's movie.
We were 9 years old.
Yeah, we weren't watching this.
I say I don't even recognize like
No. It looks
Leslie
oh my
Ann
gosh.
Warren is probably the only one name I recognize.
It looks like
Andy
Footloose.
Garcia.
Kind of like a Footloose genre, maybe.
It's probably
Could be. It was around the same time.
Yeah, 30% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Interesting.
So
I can
that is
actually
on the
I
soundtrack.
can actually believe the internet now.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, a little
It's
bit.
been confirmed as fact.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
But because
But-
everything you read on the internet's true,
Of course.
But so that movie came out in
except for where it
83.
isn't.
83.
and it was on the soundtrack. It was in the movie, but it didn't actually reach number one until a year later.
Well, the album wasn't even released until the next year.
Yeah.
So was it written for the movie?
I
Okay.
guess so.
Maybe.
It was included on there, so I don't know.
So it probably was. So they're probably written there. So you got this because
And
it
then
would
build
have
an
some
album.
traction on it. Okay, this is going on to the album.
Build an album around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if build an album around it. It's just because okay, you've got some airplay with this song. Let's put it out because there has been some B cuts, B sides where they get a lot of traction. So now they have to be released on an actual album after the fact.
Yeah.
So same kind of scenario is it came out for say the soundtrack or whatever, and then they would have to release it later on or whatever. You know, put it to an actual album to the artist's name.
Interesting.
Yeah. And around that time too, he also contributed some vocals to another Canadian band, Glass Tiger.
Yes, he did. So
Yeah.
good.
So two songs on that album, on their debut album.
Which you can't listen to it in like live without hearing him, even though he's not there.
I often wonder if that contributed to the success.
Of Glass Tower. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it? He was probably brought in to help get them up and running.
Probably.
You know?
But at least their greatest, like one of the most popular songs off the album, didn't have his voice on it.
No. No. Well, because they're great too.
They are a good band. Yeah.
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 But those songs are so good.
And I think
Yeah.
that goes back with the hired gun writing and
Yeah.
because Glass Tiger wrote with Jim Balance as well.
Yes.
So I think
That helps out.
Contributes to
It's
I say you could hear
the right
the
people at the right
similarity.
time at the right studio.
Yeah,
Like I said,
camaraderie
everything's
between-
lightning in a
yeah.
bottle when it comes into the music industry. You just have to be at the right place at the right time.
I
Well,
would
and
say
they traded, right?
the
Between
6
each other.
degrees, I guess you could say, of separation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
That every artist or band had, especially at that time. The industry was small. It still
was
is,
small.
but it's big but small.
Yes.
It was easier probably to collaborate like that then than it is now, I would say.
Yes.
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 Right? Because you're all kind of feeding from the same pools, whereas now there's so many pools.
And a lot of
Well, there's
people,
that.
they
There's
just bring
scheduling
it home or
conflicts.
something like that.
You know,
Yeah.
scheduling conflicts. It's hard to get a bunch of artists together. Like I said, and a lot of these cases where it happens out, it just happens to be this one's recording in Studio A, they're in Studio B. Hey,
Hey, you
what-
want to pop in and
you
sing
want to
with
come
me?
over and just do a little vocal
Yeah.
clip for us? And,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
very
and
possible.
you know, tit for tat, little favors here and stuff like this. Like we've known artists to, you know, they happen to have a concert, the other artist happens to be in town, all of a sudden they pull an artist on stage, had no idea they were even there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the
That-
best surprises too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are, and that's like it's crazy, like how that happens, and it still happens.
It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
But I don't know if concerts that I've seen lately it hasn't. I think there's just the one time that I saw Bryan Adams come up on
Like I
stage,
said,
but I think it happens more in the States because
Probably.
it's
Yeah.
just easier for them, right?
Wherever
You
they're
could have two
located.
artists performing in the same city, one in an arena, one in a smaller venue, and now it's like that's it.
Yeah.
She used to live in the States
I know.
to see the
No.
artist.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm staying in Canada.
Not to offend our American listeners.
As
but,
much as
you
I
know.
love Seattle, I could stay there for a little while, but I'd still want to come home.
Yeah.
That's a great place to visit, but you know,
Yeah.
Canada's my home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but going down to Vegas, you could see one concert and then two.
But you don't
days
have to
later-
live there. Because you think about you
You can time
sit
it right.
there.
Yes,
Okay.
but like that's just it. You go, you visit, you have fun, you come home.
That's right.
True.
You don't want to live
And-
there where it's all
and
going on.
we
all
are-
the
I
time.
could live there.
We're
You could live in
I
Vegas?
could
Oh,
live
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not
I'm
in
a city girl.
Vegas.
But, well,
Out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like not on the strip or anything like
No,
that, but
gosh.
you know,
Yeah.
the old Vegas.
Old
Could live
Vegas.
down there. Anyway.
It's 'cause anyway.
Maybe when I'm old enough, you can buy, that be a snowbird 6 months down there and come
Right?
back. But
Yeah.
I'm
Arizona for sure.
Right.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
What? What's next? What are we talking about? Are we talking about?
Well, are we still talking about Reckless?
Are we just gonna skip to Waking Up in the Neighbors?
No, we can't skip.
We
Oh,
can't,
come
we can't skip.
on.
We
But-
gotta go to that.
No.
We're
Into
on a
the
roll
Fire?
about discussing albums
Into the
here. So
Fire?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
No,
we did
so
yeah.
like some of the other songs on that album, like Kids Wanna Rock.
Oh yeah.
Like how was that not
that was like an
a hit
angsty
at the
song.
time, right?
Yeah.
You hear it at every single.
that is
It
a,
Pretty
opening.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is an awesome one in concert because that
Yeah.
just that gets the
Gets you
audience
riled up.
pumped.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
But apparently it wasn't released until So Far So Good. And then it became a hit.
Of course. It's
Oh,
because
we have
of
already
us.
known it for 10 plus years.
Exactly.
Like that's an old song.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And then one other one I noticed when I was listening to Long Gone, the intro totally reminds me of Can't Get Enough Your Love.
Okay, well, now I'm gonna have to check this out.
Like
I'll
you'll
have
pull
to-
it up and you'll listen to it and you'll be like, can't get, whatever. And then it'll start with, his lyrics and you're like, wait a minute,
this
that's
is-
not the
this-
song I thought I was listening to.
Who am I listening to again? Check the tape.
I was
What?
gonna say, is
Right?
that like the Bryan Adams controversy around the Canadian anthem because he was singing the '60s version of the Canadian anthem at some venue?
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
No, I didn't know about
I
that.
can't remember that, but yeah, there was a huge controversy because the way he sang the Canadian anthem, I guess something in the lyrics was changed, and everyone was just blasting him. But what it was is he was singing the version that he knew.
Oh,
But-
yeah, he
Because
grew up
fair
with
enough.
it.
Yeah.
Because it did change.
It did, yeah. I think I
I
still sing the old one too.
I do. That's when we were at the hockey game. I was like, that line is wrong. What the? Because I was singing it the way we know it, and there's something changed in there
Yes,
to
there
make it more
Politically correct.
Inclusive?
Inclusive.
Oh, yeah, I guess they can't
Yeah.
use politically correct anymore.
Yeah,
No,
no,
inclusive.
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 Yeah, I was
yes.
like, come on.
I think going to so many hockey games, I think I've just gotten used to it. But the
Mhm.
first time I heard it, I was like,
That's not right.
that's not it.
No.
No, only like,
Well,
remember the old
you know.
one. Yes. So, Into the Fire. I think, are we done with records?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
We already
beat
talked
that
about
one.
Summer of '69. That was the only other note I had. Oh,
And that would be for you.
Test 1 2 3.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I can edit that.
oh, for sure.
What, out of the ding dong?
So
Yeah.
take the doorbell out. Yeah, it's all good.
No, it's life. Life is messy.
Yep.
Podcasts become
One of
messy.
the podcasts I listen to, he flubs up all the time. He's like, "Nah, I'm just leaving it in."
Well, because it's real, right?
Yeah.
You want that raw. You don't want like this personified perfectionist, massive crap to listen to. You want to hear all the nut stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Conversation
talking
with
about
your
Link Up.
friends.
that's right.
Exactly.
You know.
Goes with your friend.
Conversation with your friends. Everything gets interrupted. Everything goes off track.
That's a
heck
good thing.
yeah.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, into the
All right.
fire.
So
Into
Into
the
the
Fire.
Fire. So a lot of people say, I read that, Into the Fire wasn't a successful album.
Really?
Yeah, but it did just as well as Cuts Like a Knife.
Yeah.
So the reason they said it wasn't as successful because it didn't have
The breakout hit.
the breakout hits. It wasn't as big of an album as Reckless was. Like Reckless kind of,
It topped it out.
yeah, like it was atmospheric.
It's like anything. It's budgets, whatever it is. It's everything is more. If you do this number,
They want
the
more
next
for the next
one you have to do more. And I see that. That's actually sad to hear because "Heat of the Night" is one of my favorite songs by
Right?
Bryan Adams, and it's
I mean,
on that
the
album.
whole album hit number 7 on the charts. So I mean, it wasn't
was it
a
that bad?
failure. Yeah.
Yeah, like.
It's an
I was listening to it,
embarrassment.
Yeah, it was like, they said it was a little bit dark and depressing.
Well, it is dark.
And that might
It
be why I
is.
like it.
But
that is why you like it.
nothing
yes.
wrong with that, though. But I think at that
No.
time period of 87,
Yeah.
88,
Yeah.
everything was so upbeat.
Yeah.
and-
Well, because this was more his probably artistic kind
I
of.
was
I
gonna
think
say,
it was
yeah, he was
probably a
trying
few years
something
too
different
early.
because it was
Yeah.
still fairly new to the game at
Yeah.
the time. And
Yeah, and then it's like, oops, okay.
yeah. Won't do that again.
Don't do that again. Give it a little while.
But there's some great songs on there.
But see, that's one of the things that can be stifling, and that's where I don't like. I know it's an industry and stuff, and you have to have these record executives, but they almost stifle the artists because some of those albums, yeah, they may not be commercial hits, but the artist has poured their love into those albums, and it comes through on some of those songs. And like, yeah, it might take a darker turn than the others, but that's where he was at that moment in time. And when you stifle it, when it's all about, you know,
Numbers.
album sales and stuff like this, that's where you lose the integrity of the artist and the beauty of the art that they produce.
Well, there's one song on there, "Victim of Love."
Yeah, right? Great song.
Great song. But then there's also Remembrance Day.
I love
Yeah.
that
They
you
don't-
mentioned
they
these
only play
songs
it
and they
on-
just all
right
start
that
playing
time.
in the back.
Like, I know,
As I'm
but-
listening to this
Like, Remembrance Day is only played one time a year.
on Remembrance Day.
It's a great song. I wish it was played more. Honestly. But you
Yeah,
very
'cause
rarely
I
hear
don't-
some of the
I-
songs on the
Exactly,
radio.
yeah. I didn't really recognize it either, even when I
No.
went back and listened to it.
Yeah, like you don't hear "Victim of Love." You don't hear. You hear "Heat of the Night," I guess, more so than a lot of the other songs.
Yeah,
but
I would say
You hear it
that
a lot here because I like playing that one.
Yeah,
it's on my
yeah.
favorites on my
Yeah.
my playlist as well. But
I find I can't listen to that one without hearing Kids Wanna Rock afterwards. For whatever reason, those two
It
just
just
go
goes-
together
yeah,
for me.
Goes
Yeah.
into it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember which songs it is, but there's songs that she sings because it was those K-Tel commercials. And
Oh my
you know,
gosh. That
Oh, it's stuck in my head because it
and
was
so
like from one song to another. And that's
there was
why
a
I sing the
segue
song.
between
Yeah.
two songs. So it's two different songs,
Yeah.
but every time the one song comes on, she sings it and
Literally
automatically
goes
goes into the next song.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And then they'll be like, "What are you singing?" I was like, "I don't know. It's commercial."
Well, it's like Queen, right? We're the champions and we will rock you.
Yeah.
They go together.
They go together.
A lot of people don't even know that they're two different songs because they're
No,
always playing
always
together.
playing together.
But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
it does.
A lot of conversations for another day.
There is. It
Like
always-
Hearts on Fire is so good. Hearts
Yeah.
on Fire, right?
Yeah.
But then there's some that I'm like I can't even think of. Native Son. Like what is the? I don't know if I know that one. Maybe I do. Native Son.
I know that one.
Another
Well, I was
Day.
looking at "Only the Strong Survive." I'm like, I can't. I
Can't
don't
place
remember
it?
that. Can't place it.
No, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I had
But
that with
Hearts on
quite,
Fire,
with
yeah,
quite a
you
few
know
of
that
them
one.
actually on that album.
Yeah,
I guess they play that one quite a bit on the radio too.
yeah, they do.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if it wasn't for licensing issues, this would just be all the hits all the time. Let's play this song.
might as well just start a radio station here while we're at it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Radio
Yeah.
station with lots of talk about the songs. Oh, and then this. Oh.
Exactly. Wow. I think, is there anything else on Into the Fire?
You know what? It's not really a big conversation piece. I don't think.
No.
No, like I said, I
No.
mean, Reckless was huge.
Yeah.
Into the Fire, like I said, it was successful, but again, I don't know.
It's
a lot
not
of the
in
songs
the,
on there.
No,
Yeah,
it's not the top of anybody's music head place. I would say.
No.
You think Bryan Adams?
No. I
Oh,
just know
what's
that
the
it wasn't one of his
difference?
popular ones, and that's.
Mm-hmm.
But
That-
to me, I always like the underrated, if
Of
you
course,
want
we
to call
do.
it.
Yeah.
You know,
The
Yeah,
underdogs.
exactly.
The underdogs.
The underdogs. We go for
Yeah.
the underdogs.
We
Yeah.
know those songs.
Yeah.
It also could stem from, like, obviously you have a hit like Reckless, it's 84, so it's a big hit. They tour, so there's 3 years spacing between the two albums, and that's
The difference
that spacing is killer to most artists.
Yeah.
That's
But
why.
he has that kind of spacing on all of his almost, right? Like if you look,
Yeah, but if you look at the early albums, 80, 81, 83, 84,
but then it
and then
goes
you get a
into-
3 year space.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. You know, Reckless was such a big hit. Sorry, we're going back to Reckless. It was such a big hit, so there was actual tours and support to going to it. So it stayed on the charts for, you know, a lot longer. But by the time he actually gets back into a studio to record a new album, you know, it's allowed people time to, lack of better terms, forget about him,
It's
and then
cooled off.
to come to market with something that
So
is
different.
different.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of pull that fan base back. But once again, you're talking a profound artist with a great collection of art. So you can kind of gravitate to it, and obviously he does come back with better albums.
Well, yeah,
But-
because again, there's a big break between the next one, right?
Yeah.
Would it have been to have a Reckless too? Would that have been good?
I don't
Would
think
that have
so.
been good for his career?
No,
No.
too much too soon. I think if you squish too many things in at once, right, you're almost hitting the frying pan too hot, and then you're gone.
Well, and
You
I think
fizzle.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
fizzle.
differences between
You burn
Cuts Like a
out.
Knife and Reckless.
But that was
there was a difference.
That was the
Yeah.
mentality in the 60s and the 70s. It was, you know, album, tour, and like if you weren't releasing an album a year or even in
People
some
forget
cases
about you.
every 6 months, you weren't
You've
doing it
forgotten
right.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, I think we're gonna end it for this. Yes.
Yeah, we're ending
Yeah,
it there.
we'll finish it. We'll call this part 1, I guess you could say,
Part 1, yeah.
because
We
there's
didn't get to
still.
waking up the
No,
neighbors.
don't worry. We'll get to that in the next one.
Vicky's
So,
wondering. Come on, we're both like itching. I'm
Itching to go there.
itchy.
I know. I was like, let's just skip into the fire room. But no, they wouldn't let us skip. Okay.
I like
fine.
it.
I
Buddy, that's
know.
my
I have a
song.
question though.
Okay.
Okay.
42.
That's the answer.
That's
the
answer.
So life,
Oh, that's the answer. Okay.
life and everything. Right?
Yeah, no
Life,
kidding.
the universe, and everything.
So
I will use
Think
that
about
answer
this.
a lot.
yes, overrated, underrated. What do you guys think?
Him?
Songs,
Or
yes.
Just in
in
general,
general?
Just
or
in general, overrated or underrated or yeah.
I think it's both.
Okay, but we
Something
won't
to think
answer
about
this
it.
yet.
Oh,
We
okay.
have to think about this. Leave you guys on a cliffhanger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll think
so,
about it.
All
We
right.
won't answer yet.
All right. So
Alright.
I hope you guys enjoyed this first
Installment?
installment. Yes, part 1 of
Bryan Adams.
Bryan
There's
Adams.
more artists, more music, more things to
music,
come.
more everything. So yeah. Well, thank you for joining us at the Music
Great.
Roundtable.